We're going to be featuring on-screen takeoff with QuickBid, and we have a guest presenter with us today named Christian Berkeley. I'll introduce him in just a minute, but for the sake of the presentation, I'm going to be making Christian the presenter, so he'll be showing his screen. Christian works with OnCenter Software Solutions. He's been a user of on-screen takeoff for a vast number of years, and he's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to takeoff and estimation technologies from OnCenter. So Christian, thank you for joining us. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you just fine. Hopefully you can hear me as well.
Very good. We'll let you begin with the presentation, and if there happens to be questions that make sense to interrupt or something, I might do so, but otherwise you're free to demonstrate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. So everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name's Christian, and I'm going to walk you through a high-level overview of the on-screen takeoff digital takeoff solution. This solution is going to be working, or we're going to demonstrate it today, working seamlessly integrated with QuickBid, which is our estimating tool. So we'll have two solutions here. One serves the purpose of gathering up digital quantities, and then the other would serve the purpose of marrying all those quantities to the appropriate pieces parts to build an on-time estimate to deliver off to your customer. Now, I realize that I've been an estimator for many years. Not everybody does everything the same, and the beauty of these two solutions is being able to use the flexibility within them to design or take your current estimating model and implement that into both of these solutions. And what I mean by that is we'll go ahead and get started here in the on-screen takeoff tool, which is what you should see. We have a series of workflow tabs up here at the top left. So here we're just going to kind of move our way throughout this webinar through each one of these, highlighting why on-screen takeoff might be a great solution for you to be able to make your estimating and your takeoff experience better, faster, and stronger, more accurate, and increase revenue. So here in our bids tab, this would be our dashboard, if you will. Now this gives us a place where I can load up projects and create bids. For instance, here we have a couple of projects that we've set up here that I'm kind of clicking on. Our basic takeoff method job here, I can receive plans from multiple different sources, right? So I could get plans from, let's say, an online plan room, an FTP site. Maybe I'm getting drawings emailed from different sources. They can all be imported into on-screen takeoff to create a project, and that's what we've done here. So in our cover sheet, which is the starting point, I would be able to load up sets of drawings here. Very simple way to pull drawings in and eliminate a lot of those paper costs. I know we used to use plotters before we went to these methods, but the paper costs and the plotting inks and even the storage of plans can be very cumbersome and cost a lot of money. So here in our cover sheet, we're able to load up sets of drawings. It's very simple. You would be able to navigate to wherever you save those particular plan pages, and once you save them or choose wherever you want to locate them, or I'm sorry, save those, you can locate them then by navigating to wherever they're at. You can select individual pages or the entire plan set, and then the program will load those drawings in for you. Very simple process there. Now today we are going to use QuickBid Interactive. So what that means is that anything that I do in on-screen takeoff as far as quantities are concerned, they are going to seamlessly transfer over to QuickBid. So here I'm going to choose pricing out using QuickBid Interactive. Now there are a couple other tools that you can use here. The program does work standalone as well, so you can use the worksheet tab to kind of unit cost, and we're going to show you some of those options later. And you can also export to Excel. So there's flexibility there when it comes to how you want to build an estimate after gathering up quantities or while taking up quantities. Moving on to my image tab, this is probably going to be where I would spend the majority of my time. So here what we've done is we've loaded up a set of plans here for the Texas Southern University. This is a school project here in the new science building. So there's a lot of things going on. There's casework, millwork of all different types and different types of areas. So here on the image tab, here in my main view, this is going to be my view of the actual plans. Now, of course, we've already done some takeoff here to represent to you, for the purpose of this demo and time's sake, what is colored is counted on screen. So one great feature is that I get that good visual audit trail of what I may be picking up. And then, of course, up here at the very top, we have the drop-down menu that allows us to be able to choose scale. So obviously, scale is very important. If the scale's off, we get the job and then we lose a bunch of money. At least that's how I used to find it in my day. So here we're able to set scale, and if scale is off, we have the ability to calibrate the program to pick up that scale by known linear dimensions on the plan pages. We can quickly be accurate at all times. Now, one other thing that's super important that we're going to be doing here throughout this webinar, and that's shifting gears back and forth through different plan pages. So here, for instance, on my drop-down menu, we make it super simple to be able to rename pages and be able to select different plan pages that I want to see. So whether it be details, let's say detail pages, or maybe I'm doing takeoff from elevations or plan views, you can do it either way. But the point is, navigating back and forth is very simple. Just below that, I have a conditions tab. Now, the conditions window here that you see to the left is critical because this is where we're going to be creating conditions. Obviously, after reading whatever the schedules are and the spec notes, and I understand what the work scope is, this is where I'm going to organize and create conditions here. Now, I've organized mine by type. So I have things like base cabinet ends, base cabinets, uppers, lowers. There's millwork here, so on and so forth. I've created types, and then within these condition types, I've created the actual condition. So here, for instance, I've read the plans, and I understand that the work scope's calling out for a base cabinet end that's 24 by 36 inches, and so on and so forth as we move through these conditions. All right, creating these. Down here at the bottom left, I have this little blue plus sign, and when I create these conditions, I can set them up linear, area, or count. So it gives me the flexibility to be able to do takeoff the way I want to, right? So here on cabinets, I may be clicking and dragging linears with height and thickness dimensions to them because that's the way I do my takeoff. So here I could set up a linear. Or maybe I'm doing things with counts. Maybe I'm counting different casework items. Here you can set them up as counts, name them, set up dimensions, which is critical, obviously, of what you're doing takeoff on. And then here in your appearance, you could choose from 48 highlighters to let you know what is colored is counted on screen, and that gives you that good visual of what you're picking up. Now, just below that, there's different condition results. This is super important because the program now can generate more than one condition result. So if you're a guy that likes to get real detailed with things in your doors, let's say with lock stops hardware and all the other things that go along with installing that, you can gather up multiple quantities in one shot, and then here you could add any notes. It's that simple. Linear, area, and count items. Now, I know you guys came to see doing takeoff, so let's go ahead and do some here. Again, this is a science lab, and this is the general biology room here that we would be having workstations that we worked on here that we're going to do takeoff on. Now, I'm going to show you a couple methods here. So let's just say we have a finished knee space that's 30 by 30 here. I set it up as a count condition. And if you can see my crosshairs here, I'm just going to click one of those on the screen so you can kind of get familiar with what I'm talking about here, or see my crosshairs. I'm just going to point and click wherever these items may go, right? So I can do simple takeoff by pointing and clicking, or to gather up quantities, or I could use things like cabinet upper or lowers here. I've set up a couple conditions here where I might come in and I want to click, let's say, I'm going to point and click wherever a cabinet upper may go. I'm going to click and drag, and it gives me the total linear footage and then the square footage on that upper with a linear based on the dimensions that I've put in as far as height and thickness goes. So this is a simple way to do takeoff here on your screen. Again, I'm coloring and counting and gathering up these items here, whether count items or linear items. And then we also have areas as well. So let's create one together. Here, if I create a brand new condition and we were to call this area, I can then name it whatever I want to, and I'm just going to call this a sample area. Once I create that area condition, let's shift gears to a different page here. I might need to have the area of these knee openings, or maybe there's some type of cabinet or something that I need to gather up the square footage here. I can click and drag across those elevations, if you will, to gather up whatever the total square footages may be based on scale. So it's all about linear area count. All right, so moving back to what we looked at here. Now, a couple things that may be important to you, and the program has the flexibility to designate takeoff to specific areas. Maybe you're the type of estimator that like to allocate that takeoff to an area because you later on need to price it out by area with different options and styles and sizes and things of that nature. QuickBid is going to break these quantities down into pieces parts, but the beauty of OnScreen is that we can create areas. So here we might have a first floor. Here I created an area and sub-areas. We have classroom 100, 101, 102, a library, a theater, moving on into second floor. The point of all this is that we can allocate takeoff to specific areas, and we're going to show you why that's important here in a moment when we do our reporting. But let's do a little bit of takeoff here on some trim. We talked a little bit about how you might approach some of the casework stuff. Let's say on here on my millwork, I've created crown, wall coverings, base, and chair rail. So here I would be able to create these conditions, and then of course I can point and click wherever that particular crown may go, right? So I'm pointing and clicking around the room wherever crown is involved. Now I may have a wall covering, right? So here I'm going to do it from a plan view, but I'm also going to get the square footage based on height. So here I can set the program to say this wall covering is 36 inches high, and I need the length and linear footage, but I need the surface area and square footage. I can set that up. Now I can point and click again right over top of condition quantities, right over top of the existing condition that I've already taken off, and then if you see my crosshairs there, I'm just pointing and clicking to wherever that would go, and then it yields the quantity. So it's super simple to get square footages out of linears as well. Now I can combine all of these together with our multi-condition takeoff here. Now I can say I have crown, wall covering, base, and a chair rail all in one shot. I can highlight these, and now I can do multi-condition takeoff. So here I've selected multiple conditions. Now when I point and click around a specific area, I'm gathering up all those quantities in one shot. So multi-condition takeoff can speed up and make us faster within our takeoff as well. And then if these were needed, or these particular quantities here that we're looking at, guys, if I wanted to, I could say, all right, well, all the takeoff involved here needs to belong to the first floor classroom. Let me spread this open just a little bit. Classroom 100, right? So I can assign that to the current area. And let's just say the takeoff below that we did just a moment ago. Find that again. There it is. All right, here, this takeoff here, let's say I want all of that to be assigned to first floor classroom 101. I can assign it there as well. So now I can break down these particular condition quantities into reports, if that makes sense. And that's going to show up here on our takeoff tab. I have the ability to break those totals out. So for instance, here I have cabinet uppers, lowers on second floor. I have millwork here on first floor, classroom 100. Classroom 101. It will conveniently break the takeoff quantities down into each of those particular bid areas. Okay, the next step here is, guys, I'm going to go back to look at all areas here of our takeoff. We talked a little bit about some of the basic. Let's get a little bit more into the advanced items, and those would be things like, I know when I was estimating, I had to flip-flop back and forth before the digital dates in a heavy set of plans, and I had Post-it notes kind of stuck everywhere, identifying details or anything that you can think of. I'm sure maybe some of you have experienced the same thing. We have the ability to set up what is called a hot link. Now, what a hot does for you, or a named view, it allows you as the estimator to be able to look at a plan view, and quickly over here to the far right, if you notice the circle with the triangle, I can quickly access details by clicking on those. I could get to building sections, or I could drive those details down into individual wall sections, or maybe there's a specific detail that I need to look at here. I would be able to see those and then quickly get back to doing takeoff. So I spend less time having to, manipulate a heavy set of plans and having to find those detail pages. Also, one of the things that I used to run across all the time, and that was architects making last-minute changes. So here, for instance, it was very difficult when a change was made. Sometimes I was never notified, or maybe those changes came on a different size of plan sheet, so on and so forth. I'm sure you can think of many different scenarios. The beauty of OnScreen here for that particular problem is that I can overlay new drawings on top of the existing regardless of size or scale. So here we have an architect indicated a change, right? They cloud out the area. But when I receive my new plan, my revision, and overlaid it on top of the existing, what highlights in blue is new and what is red is dead is kind of what our little saying is here. I see the changes that were indicated by the architect. What happens when I have a change that was never indicated by the architect? I could have missed that. So here up at the very top right, if you notice, here, say, in this conference room, there is a desk space here, or knee space here, that's extended past what I had originally estimated here, and then this end cap as well. So I could have missed this had I not had the overlay. So what happens is that when I receive a new drawing, I can overlay the new on top of the old, and when I line the two drawings up, anything that stayed the same will kind of gray out, and anything that shows up in blue and red indicates the changes have been made, whether on notes, letters, symbols, or numbers, or takeoff here, or I'm sorry, architectural lines here in the plans, you would be able to see it. So with overlay, that can speed up the process and create a less cumbersome experience there. Now, we also have the ability to communicate. So it's great we can find changes, but it's all about communication, right, and how quickly you can communicate back and forth to come to a reasonable resolution to this change. So up here at the very top, we have an annotation toolbar. Now, this annotation toolbar allows us to be able to put notes, let's say, directly to the plan pages. Maybe I want to cloud out an area here, and maybe I want to add a call-out box because the architect might have missed something here, and I want to put some sample text or notes here. I can communicate very easily with on-screen takeoff. I can create these annotations. I could even right-click and quickly copy this current view. Maybe I want to drop this off into an RFI template here. I would be able to communicate this information, paste this in, fill out a few line items, and send it off in an email. Now, you could even do something as simple as I use Gmail. Maybe I want to throw this into a quick email. I could paste that right into an email, send it off, and communicate it with another party. So these are just some of the many features that on-screen takeoff has to offer to you. Now, again, we talked a little bit about some of the basic doing takeoff, some of the advanced. I'm going to show you one other feature here that was designed for our MEP trades, but our millwork casework guys seem to love this one too. We have a feature called auto count. Now, auto count is designed to leave the estimator in full control, right? So how do we do that? Well, we design it by not being 100% accurate every time for a reason, because we want to be in control. We don't want the software making a decision for us as the estimator. My point to that is, let's say if I'm looking at a plan page and I notice, wow, there's a lot of one particular symbol showing up, it can be real cumbersome to have to click through and count all those particular symbols, letters, or numbers. So what we can do here is create, let's say, doors or window types or whatever it may be. I can click and drag and capture those pixels. Once I do, I can set my sensitivity, whether more or less, and then the program is going to scan the entire plan page for me for looking for that detail. Now, keep in mind, the program does it by plan page only, and it leaves me in control again to be able to make the final decision. So here it gives me a list of what it found. As I scrub through these results here, I could see, well, the program's telling me, Mr. Estimator, you're looking for K. I found something similar. You make the choice. so I can uncheck anything I do or do not want included into that particular count on that go round. Once I'm happy with what the program found, I can then accept the count, and when I do, it will place a marker everywhere it found that on the plan page, and then I just reduce the amount of time that it takes for me to have to go back and count through all those items. So auto count may speed up the process there if you're ever burdened with a heavy amount of count items. All right, again, we talked about some of the basics, some of the advanced. At this point, we're going to go ahead and move on and just cover the last few tabs here. In our takeoff tab, we kind of touched base on that a little bit ago. I'm going to collapse some of these results here. In the takeoff tab, guys, this is where all the takeoff quantities that were done and gathered up land. So here I would be able to organize these into a report that may make sense to me. So for instance here I can check off group by area, or maybe group by type, or by plan page. And when I apply those filters, that's what shows up here. So for instance, I had millwork details on the first floor. In that first floor I had classroom 100, if you remember when we assigned those bid areas. Now I can create a report with all these different conditions and organize the condition quantities the way I want to see them. And I could print this information out. I can export it as well. On-screen takeoff gives you the ability to export different reports or different information into many different format types here. So from a drop-down, we give you a quite a bit of formats to choose from, and then you could push the data out of the program. Now, for the guys that don't get so detailed in their estimates, if you're using on-screen takeoff standalone, a great place to be able to throw a unit cost number at these particular condition quantities is the worksheet. So here, again, it's a list of all the conditions you've created, their total quantities, and then you would be able to manually enter in, let's say, I know I have 79 of these particular base cabinets, 2 drawers and 2 doors. I might say that the material price is $50 each, and then the labor to install them is $150 or whatever it may be. Forgive me, I'm from Division 7, so I really don't know the prices on some of these. But here you can generate your unit costs here, and you would not have to use QuickBid if you're just trying to keep it super simple. Then the last stop here is Project Express. What Project Express is like an email inbox or a job inbox, if you will. This gives you the ability to share data. A lot of the users that use on-screen takeoff would be GCs and subcontractors. This allows them to strengthen their communication by being able to send bid information back and forth. Or another scenario may be you have multiple estimators within your firm that want to share data back and forth. They can do so here. What I mean is this is where jobs that are sent or shared to you reside. So let's say in my bids tab, I'm getting ready to leave the office and I want to share this data with another estimator to complete it, or let's say I'm a junior estimator and a senior estimator needs to look over this. I can send the complete package via Project Express. It creates a bid package for me with all the plan pages, takeoff, and data. I simply enter in whatever their email address may be, and then I send that off. Once I do, it then would go to their Project Express inbox. They can open it up, view it, make changes, send it back, and it always stays fresh with the most current set of data by being able to update every time inside of that particular job. All right, so we went over, again, a quick high-level overview of how to create conditions, load up sets of plans, eliminate that paper if you want to, creating a faster, more accurate takeoff experience. And at this point, we're ready to move along into the QuickBid solution now. Okay, so if you remember in the very beginning, we were talking a little bit about loading up a set of plans into our cover sheet. So at this point here, you have multiple pricing methods to choose from. If you remember from that drop-down menu, we can work with inside the program as standalone. We can work with QuickBid Interactive as well. So what happens here, guys, is we bridge a huge gap in takeoff and estimating, and that is I no longer have to manually do takeoff, highlight it, and write these quantities down, and then double data entry, and then transfer these the information back and forth. Now anything that I do in QuickBid or in on-screen takeoff goes over to QuickBid. So let's show you how that seamless integration works. So I'm going to show you QuickBid here, and if you remember, we had done takeoff on some of these conditions. There was cabinet uppers and lowers and so on and so forth. So on this cabinet lower here, I'm going to kind of line these up a little bit so you can see. If you notice, we had cabinet lower, condition number 29, 16 linear feet. Here in QuickBid, which is a second software solution working in the background, we had brought over 16 linear feet. Anytime that I make a change or do takeoff, it's going to automatically send these total quantities over to QuickBid. The beauty of that is that now, while I'm doing takeoff, I'm speeding up my estimating process by that seamless integration there. So I just want to point that out. As we do takeoff, we're building conditions. And all this condition window is that you see here up at the top, this tab, is a list of everything you've created. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. One of the great things, again, about QuickBid is it allows you to have numerous calculations already done for you. You can get an itemization of all your labor and material, and this all comes from a customizable database that allows you to be able to build your the job to spec from that database. So your estimating model can get put into this database is what I'm getting at. So here is a list of all the conditions, and guys, again, you may not get this granular, but I want to touch base on these options with everyone because there may be different levels of the way that you approach your estimating here. But in our conditions tab here, we would have all the conditions. When I drill down into these, it's simply asking me, as the estimator, you took off 38 base cabinet ends, what do you want to do with these? And here in your notes section is where you could have all your design drawing specs or your notes and things like that. Here we make it super simple for you to be able to price this out, whether you're a production guy or however you're approaching it. By going to your assembly, you can open up base cabinet end assemblies that you have created in the past, and you can have common base cabinet ends in here, right? And when you select that, it will drop everything you need in and then take your total digitized quantity and apply it to those individual line items. So for instance, here we had shop production on your cabinets. Here we had load and delivery. There was costs, and then maybe production listing, and here's job handling, and of course finished end at base cabinet. Those are the line items that were involved in that assembly. And again, I realize you may not get this detailed, and if you don't, that's okay. You could add something in here as simple as throwing a unit cost into it. So if you remember those cabinet lowers that we were looking at, let's say if you're a guy that you just want to say, well, I've got cabinet lowers here, you would be able to bring in a cost code here or a detailed item that would throw your labor and material together, and that's it. It's priced out and you're done, you move on. But for those of you who are looking for more options, like with that base cabinet end we were just talking about, when we throw one of these assemblies in, it now gives us different types of options. Things like being able to adjust material and labor costs depending on what we're working with. So if I were to move on to, let's say here, I have this particular base cabinet, 2 drawers, 2 doors. Here I have the melamine board that I'm going to put on one side. Now, to make it spec specific or meet the job specs, from my drop-down menu here, I have the ability to choose different sizes, styles, and it would be the same thing with doors. Let's say doors and door hardware packages. You may have a common door, but the hardware package, you need to be able to quickly adjust or change or shift gears. You can do that from your sizing here. And then it blends your material and your labor rates all together into that particular unit cost here at the top. And this is how you would be building your estimate, moving through each one of these particular conditions that you've created and quantified, and then building the pricing against it. Now again, it's flexible. You don't have to get that detailed, or you can make it you can get detailed or make it super simple. And as you work through each one of these tabs up here at the top, guys, you're just simply adding things from your database. Maybe you have subcontracted labor that you want to pull in. We make it convenient for you to be able to pull contacts from your contact manager. That's another beauty here. You can have different types of contacts set up so that way they're easy to get to. Maybe you use multiple different sources to be able to complete a project. You can have those stored. Maybe you finance equipment into your project. Maybe it's provided by the subs, but maybe you do it as well. Here on the equipment tab, you can insert different types of equipment assemblies that you may need to allocate for. And again, we're getting to an end result, which is a proposal, just working through these tabs. Here on my other tab, I may add any indirect or direct cost expense. Maybe this is where my general conditions go, or things like maybe there's engineering or shop design or something, or design drawings here. You could add those, and then the program will mark up your project for you. One of the great things about QuickBid is that no matter how you do your estimating, the behind-the-scenes database allows you to be able to set up default markups. So now you're standardizing everything that comes through QuickBid. It's applying different types of markups, and you can use those markups on individual sections or over all bid sections. The flexibility is there for you to be able to take, again, your estimating model that you currently use and implement it into the software here, being able to create taxes, burdens, overheads, profits, and things like that. One of the things, the tools that I used to use is we used to have to negotiate quite a bit. You know, it was always a tug of war to win a project. So here in QuickBid, I have the ability to enter in a target number. Let's say someone calls you up and they say, hey, can you do the job for $265,000? Well, you could enter in the target number. And the program will stop you at a safety point, letting you know at $339,000, I have all my taxes, burdens, overheads covered, but I don't have any profit left in this project. So it allows you to be able to set in or put in target numbers, and I could go back and maybe renegotiate certain types of profit margins on the project here. So it's kind of a little safety feature there if you understand what I'm saying. Last couple tabs here, we'll make it super quick. The materials would be all the materials involved in your project stripped back from the labor. So if you remember in those conditions, when we were first talking about blending material and labor to a specific quantity, here, now we're going to take that or strip back that material and labor in these two tabs. The reason for that is, let's say I need to order some stuff from a supplier. QuickBid allows you to be able to grab multiple items here. You can grab them all if you'd like. You can select all items, or maybe you just want to order wood items. You can click and drag these into what's called an e-quote. Now, the value add for e-quote would be being able to request pricing from a supplier, right? I know that in my trade, it was very hard to track down my supply rep or my distribution account manager to be able to get pricing. Things were always changing, and it was very difficult. Here, you can create a e-quote. Your supplier doesn't need any special software to communicate with you. They just need a valid email address. So here I could select, I want supplier A, supplier B, and supplier C to give me a quote on all these material items that I've just selected. And from this point here, they would be able to send off an e-quote right out of the program. And what happens is that an email is sent to them. They have a within that secured link that they click on. They don't know that they're bidding against supplier A, B, or C. Once the supplier receives that email, then they're going to see that a specific estimator is requesting a price quote. So for instance here, in my email, where we're getting a price quote request, and when they click on that little link, they would be able to then see exactly what the material list consists of. They can enter in or manually enter in the cost. They know who the actual contractor is and the job site. They can enter in the cost here manually, and then they would be able to submit this back to you. Now, once they do that, guys, QuickBid allows you to be able to import the pricing direct to the correct supplier, and it allows you to be able to do a cost comparison, and maybe you're going to buy half of this material from supplier A and half from supplier C. You can mix it up, but the point is you can add that pricing into your bid. QuickBid will automatically update your base bid and let you know what supplier you used. So that's a very convenient way, an easy way for you to be able to build pricing. Last two things is labor and payroll here, guys. This is just a list of all the labor cost codes that you've built into the project. You can make some last-minute adjustments here as well. QuickBid allows you to be able to enter in your own cost codes and set up your own production rates, and again, basically take whatever has made you successful in the past in your estimating model and put it right into the program. And then the payroll tab gives you all the actual payroll class details and wage types here. The end result, guys, would be an on-time, accurate proposal, and that's what we're all trying to get to, right? As accurate as possible and as quickly as possible, speeding up our bid-to-win ratio, our accuracy, so on and so forth. Here, QuickBid allows me to generate a proposal in the way that I want to for my business. So what I'm going to show you today is just a simple example. Your proposal, I'm sure, is not going to look like what I'm going to show you, but you kind of get the idea. Here, QuickBid can generate Microsoft Word document proposal templates, and you're going to link different pieces of information that we just built into our estimate as we worked through the workflow here into this proposal format. Now, you may have different types of change orders or alternates and things like that, and that's okay. Both programs handle alternates and change orders, but you would choose the proposal template you want. In about 10 seconds here, you would be able to select whoever was going to receive this, and it populates all the data right into the proposal that you would be able to print off and hand off to your customer. Now, this proposal you're looking at here, or should see, is completely customizable, so there's flexibility there. You can add line items, take them away. Maybe you don't do individual section breakdowns because it gives somebody a chance to shop your bid, so on and so forth. The point is you can, in our training, learn how to make this proposal look the way that you want. Last two things are reports and exports. Obviously, reporting is important. Usually for everybody. So QuickBid allows me to be able to generate system reports, and I can share that data internally. I can export it and share it externally. It's up to you how you want to do it. But here the reports are flexible. Again, here I can say I want a bid, analysis, labor, or material report. Simply unroll the section I want to see, and let's say I want a bid summary. Well, this is the bid summary is going to be all the amounts that can produce a quote for a bid, just to let you know that's what that is. When I put a check mark in the box, I then have some filtering options of what to show or not to show. So I just turn on or turn off those different types of filters. And then I can even report down to individual section. Let's say I only want to see Division 6, but I only want to see everything that has to do with wood frame. You can start pinpointing the specific type of section you want to report on. And then here down at the bottom, what's super critical here, guys, is that maybe you're the type of estimator that needs to pinpoint specific areas. If you remember, we allocated takeoff, specific types of takeoff to specific areas like classrooms or whatever. Here I can come in and say I only want to produce a report for classroom 100. And I only want to see anything that has to do with, you know, Division 6 and wood frame. You'd be able to apply these different types of filters and or reports to this particular bid report section, and then you can preview these reports here, and it'll break down that information and filter it out the way that you've selected. So here you would get a report that you can print off or export into many different file formats as well. And then the end result would be, guys, we have many different types of exports. The most popular one would be, of course, your accounting. Here you can choose from a drop-down menu what your accounting solution may be. You could export job budget files right out of QuickBid and then import those into your accounting solution. So that's going to conclude the demonstration today. Now I realize that's a lot of information. Hope I didn't overwhelm you with too much there. The point to remember here is that we have two solutions at work. One is our takeoff tool, uploading a set of plans, creating and storing condition quantities and gathering those up. If I choose to use the estimating solution that was QuickBid, obviously we gathered up all that data and it was seamless. And it allowed me to be able to build these particular pieces, parts, and components the way I want to, and I worked through each one of these workflow tabs to generate a proposal that would be on time and accurate, and something that, you know, this is something that could happen in 35 minutes versus I know sometimes it took me days to do an estimate or up to 4 to 5 hours. Now you could do it 35 minutes, somewhere around there, realistically. So I sure do appreciate your time. Once again, my name is Christian. I hope that made sense and met your expectations today. I'm going to turn this back over to you, Sean, and then I will hang out here if there's any questions, or you can excuse me from the meeting. It's up to you.
Very nice. Thank you, Christian. I really do appreciate that. That was very well done. Thank you. I do have a question for you that I don't know the answer to.
Okay.
And the question would be relative to material costs, a sheet good, a drawer slide, or whatever it is. There are going to be times to where the prices of those need to get updated. And so I guess one question would be, could new prices be imported from some other solution, a QuickBooks, other accounting, ERP, or do they need to be maintained in QuickBid?
They would definitely need to be maintained in QuickBid, and there's a couple easy ways to do it. So if you remember, and I'll try to answer the question as short as I can here. I tend to get a little drawn out in my words, so I appreciate your patience here. But it's important to know there is a master items database, and where that material pricing is coming from is an access database that's operating in the back end. So to answer the question is, you would have to maintain the pricing in the database. But we've made that pretty simple. I think if you have a database that's lined out, you can come in here and you could, let's say, select all your items. You could say, I need to update my material pricing, and you could enter a plus minus percentage to make a change. Let's say everything went up this quarter 3%. I could apply a 3% price increase to all the items just like that, or I could drill down into each one of these items individually and go to my material pricing, and I could say, well, these are now $5.50, and then it would update the last time that was changed. But I do need to maintain the database myself. I can't really import any pricing changes in here other than the e-quote that I showed you, if that makes sense and answers the question correctly.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Sure.
And again, thank you for your time today. Do appreciate that very, very much. There weren't so far a lot of questions. I'm going to change the presentation over so that we're going to be viewing my screen for just a few minutes of a few things that I wanted to point out as well. But again, thank you, Christian. If you got things you need to do, we'll dismiss you. Otherwise, you're welcome to hang out.
Sure do appreciate it, Sean.
Sean here again. I just wanted to show a couple of things that would be a little bit different from Christian's presentation. One of these is relative to a thing that we call style sets. And so as a partner of OnCenter Software, we're very much focused in the woodworking industry. And so we have developed some data that makes it really convenient and quick to be able to use a program. For example, if I said insert a style set, I literally could select this, and what this is going to do is build all of those conditions that you saw that Christian had individually on his system. However, in this case, we have organized these by the types of categories that would be really common to our customers. For example, if we open up base cabinets, we would see that there's a nice collection of cabinets by the way that you think of for various categories, not only one bases, but curved fronts with dividers and divisions and opens and all that kind of stuff. And as we would continue through these, we would also see those kind of things occur for other areas, whether it be drawer banks or whatever it is. Included in this, even items that we would think of as die walls, wall panelings, all kinds of molding, and those kinds of things that would be built in that are very common to what customers are often using. So that makes it really nice to be able to start with that stuff right off the bat, and instead of creating each one for each takeoff you might do, just being able to insert that style set. We also, through the training process, show you how you can create or add your own. So, for example, if we wanted to duplicate and maybe we want to do something different, we'll call this a 7-inch molding or whatever the case is, you could of course have and add new items to your data and be able to save that to the style set as well. So this can really be as many condition items separated by categories the way you want, or if you want to do it in a more generic way of base cabinets, upper cabinets, halls, whatever, you can do that as well. We built these style sets in such a way that they can work on each, meaning if you were taking off each individual cabinet, or of course as lineal feet as well. We also have created some conditions specifically related to the countertop areas to where we might want to have these not only in lineal foot or each, but also in an area type condition. So again, lots and lots of flexibility to be able to get this started right. One last thing that I want to point out is that it is very common for our customers to have a pre-established method for being able to do estimation. A lot of times that is relevant to a spreadsheet, and so we have from the Takeoff tab, if you go and you go File Export, this actually makes a CSV file, and so we can help our customers by integrating through VLOOKUP tables and such a way to be able to just populate the data right out of OnScreen Takeoff into their estimation spreadsheet and to arrive at the calculations that their formulas and stuff are driving through that spreadsheet. So Christian was very accurate that you could use OnScreen Takeoff just as a takeoff tool. You could use it along just with the worksheet tab. You could also do it with the QuickBid system, or we can help you integrate it with other estimation technologies, including spreadsheets. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful information as well. I'm going to go back to the questions area one more time and see if we have anything else that would be relevant for sharing with the group. This question is a little bit tough one to answer. It's about productivity. For someone who is going from manual takeoff, meaning we've printed out sheets and we're using scales and markers and we're writing or typing down you know, the amount of takeoff and stuff, what's the productivity difference? And they're certainly relative in each case in what you're doing, but the average that our customers have told us is that they've tripled their takeoff capacity. And so obviously after you've used it a little while, you get a little bit faster with it, but about triple what you could do manually. One thing I would point out is that some technologies are very much dependent upon significant setup and learning process. If you work with us and we implement our style sets in this and help you with the definition of how you want to arrive at pricing for it, we have had customers that started using the takeoff portion of the system in day one. So there is some training that we always suggest with it, but it's also a technology that you can pick up and work with quite well. So I had some other questions related to specific outputs, and so I'm going to leave it to the other than worksheet, other than QuickBid. We are exporting in the format of a CSV file, and so we need to deal particularly with each estimation type system or ERP, whatever that is, how we could format data in such a way to make communication to those technologies. That's the kind of stuff we do all the time, so we'd be glad to help you with that. If there aren't any more questions, I want to thank Christian once again for joining us today, and I want to thank each one of you for being part of this webcast. We hope and trust that it was a benefit to you. At the end of the webcast, you'll find that there's a brief exit survey. If you would, please do take that. That gives us nice feedback and allows us to hopefully improve future webcast sessions. Please don't hesitate to bookmark www.rogershaw.com so that you can be aware of the latest industry information and future webcasts. We appreciate you very much. Want to wish you the really good rest of your day. Take care and God bless.